All right, let's check in on Reason. Reason looks good. Mike, say hi.
Hello.
Crofton, say hello.
Yo,
All right, I think we're all good here. I think everything is in order. Any other last words before we begin?
No.
it was a good run.
Okay. Good, bad, or bullshit. Episode 149 records in 5, 4, 3.
Hello. Greetings. Salutations. Welcome to the Good, Bad, or Bullshit podcast. Random topics, unrehearsed conversation, and quality reviews. My name's Mike Hodgins. I'm one of your three hosts on this show, along with the one and only Mr. Bo Schwartz. Hello, Bo.
Hello, Mike. Hello,
And of
person you. Oh,
course, the other one and only, again, because none of us are identical twins, so there's only one and only Crofton Steers.
Hello, gentlemen. It's me,
hi,
the one and
Crofton.
only
I
Crofton.
wanted to say hi to you earlier, but Mike didn't want me to say anything more.
No, I wanted to get in there and also have that underhanded slam on identical twins, which we do occasionally.
You do occasionally.
They're not
yes.
unique. What can you say? Everyone's unique except identical twins.
It's true, and sometimes they choose to be the same, and that confuses me. But whatever. They choose to wear similar clothes or
Yeah,
to get the same tattoo.
identical twins are cool. It's neat to see. Well,
It's funny because if there was a GBB drinking game, one of the things that would have you take a shot is when we slam twins. I mean, verbally slam them. You know,
Oh my god, dude. That joke is like 1 on 10.
I
I give it a 3.
The alternative being to physically slam them, like by hitting them.
I
yeah,
guess.
well, you don't want to do that. That's
Sla-
inappropriate.
Slam is also vernacular for having sex, so that was the term I meant, Bo.
Okay, before this
Oh.
goes a little too far down the wrong path, have you guys been hearing this recent stuff about? There's been a lot of talk in the news about asbestos.
Asbestos. Yes.
Wow, that took a turn.
It did. So the thing, so there's a lot of stuff in the news about asbestos. Canada's finally getting on board to try to ban it after it's no longer politically in their interest to not ban it. And there's all this talk about it. Now I've done like what I mentioned before, like home renovations and stuff like that, and I'm currently kind of doing one. And I was like, man, I probably for sure have been exposed to asbestos. So all this stuff that's going on,
Probably
like,
for sure, eh?
probably, definitely, in all likelihood been exposed to asbestos to some degree. So of course it gets me all worried. Now whenever I do demolition, I wear like the asbestos mask, and try to take those precautions. But you're like, that keeps a lot of it out of there. And I was feeling all worried about it, and it's like it leads to this thing called mesothelioma, which is a kind of lung cancer. And people were calling into this call-in show at noon, I heard today, and people were like, oh, my uncle died of this. It's horrible. It's a pretty rare lung cancer. And I was getting all worried. I was like, oh God, I've been exposed to this thing. And I'm like, it's this known carcinogen. And then I kind of took a broader view. This is, I know, a long roundabout way. A little broader view. And I was like, you know what else is a known carcinogen? The sun. The sun is a known carcinogen. Red meat is a known carcinogen. And the list just goes on and on. So it's kind of like, now I'm not, maybe I'm doing that a little bit to make myself feel better about the horrible death awaiting me in the future. But it's one of those funny things where it's just like, everyone's exposed to so much stuff that is a carcinogen, and it's like some people get cancer and some people don't, and you just kind of got to cross your fingers.
Yeah, but I think there's a higher than normal, like,
Oh yeah,
you know.
higher exposures increase your likelihood, but
Yeah.
it doesn't. It's not a guarantee one way or the other.
I thought maybe so. When I was younger, I worked with my dad in refrigeration, and they were in that point. I don't remember if they'd banned it, but they weren't allowed to use it. Like they were doing a lot of work to remove, gaskets in, the condensers and the.
Sure.
I forget all the terminology of refrigeration, but like all the machinery. There was engines and things like that operate in these large industrial buildings or just even a commercial building, and they all the gaskets were asbestos, and those stuff are like heated, like they're running engines, and so I know a big thing was to change out a lot of those gaskets for safer materials. We did a lot of that.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
It's
Is it-
still allowed in the building code, federal building code.
Oh,
Is it bad form for me to start auditioning replacement hosts now?
Well, no. Well, I will say don't waste your time because the one positive thing about me contracting mesothelioma or whatever the hell it's called is that it has a 30 to 40 year latency period. And I was kind of like, man, you know what? I might be dead in that amount of time from some other thing. So it's like,
You
but
could
that,
be 20 years into it right now, right?
yeah, I guess so.
Oh man, now you've really increased his anxiety level. He was just
No,
thinking
I
about the
doubt I'm
recent
20 years into it. I
history.
don't think I did my first demo stuff till I was. But yeah, no, it's
Well,
true.
but it could be
Probably.
as benign as stuff. I know Algonquin College, locally here in Ottawa, there was a big asbestos thing that somebody was talking to me about when I was 18. Like that they were doing work in there to replace machinery and equipment that had it. So,
There's like I looked up some of the stats and it's like a lot of people have been the bottom line is asbestos is kind of everywhere. Uh Everyone it seems is like probably exposed. They even you hear a lot of talk in like government offices, people are exposed to asbestos. It's been in use for hundreds of years, it's everywhere. And then he says and then I was looking up something and it's something like 3,000 people a year in the United States contract mesothelioma. And I was like, that's 1 in 100,000. And that's like still pretty good odds even if your exposure is high. The bottom line is like in so we live in a city of 900,000 people, so like if those stats held, it's like 9 people a year get it. It's like, you know what, I feel like your odds, you might get Parkinson's disease, you might get ALS, you might get any other kind of cancer. It's like what. And so when I started thinking about it, I'm like, we're all going to wind up taking a dirt nap one day. And, people are like, well, you can't spend your life worrying
man,
about
you're a cheery rosebush tonight.
it's fun.
Just
Okay.
for the
A
record,
dirt
though,
nap.
I don't want to make you feel worse or anything. So I'll just say that I still, even with this new evidence having come to light, have Bo down as most likely to die of the three of us.
Well, he's a smoker, and that's
Yeah,
the
well,
Man.
the smoker, the abundance of coffee, and whatever else he does. The sitting kills you.
yeah.
That's Bo's
'Cause you
favorite
don't.
hobby.
Okay.
So,
Well, now that we got that,
All right.
Rose
So
intro,
you heard it here first. Bo Schwartz, most likely to die of the good, bad, or bullshit host.
well,
please-
either way,
In the
please send
future,
your CVs to Crofton Steers at GBB.
I'm probably next to go, but that's only because Crofton leads a life of extreme leisure. Like the Queen, he will probably live to be 100.
Crofton Steers also has taken on the responsibility of human resources. I'll note, Mike. He's not only in charge of social media and
He can add that to
audience
our
growth, but
massive marketing department here.
Man, I'm going to be a director soon, guys.
all right. Well, let's direct our attention to what we came here to do, and that is
Random topic.
random topics, baby. We're gonna discuss one. Although asbestos was not a bad topic, I gotta say.
Let's-
Yeah,
Slam
but
it.
you'd say bad. I mean, come on.
Well, it's
I'm gonna say,
bad,
"Good,
but
good."
I
I
mean,
don't know.
clearly,
Makes lots of jobs, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Those oncologists, they need work.
oh my god, yeah. I'd like to see you argue that cancer is potentially a good thing because it keeps people employed. Like that's. Oh, okay. We're still rambling. Here we go. Mike, you ready?
On second thought, listening to that machine, I might have to change my death bet. Maybe Mike will go first. Either way, still send me your CV.
Yeah, is there asbestos in that?
There's probably not asbestos, but there's lots of other. Oh yeah, that was another one I had thought of was benzene. That's a known carcinogen. Every time you fill up your gas with gas in your car, you're getting exposed to benzene. Anyways, we're all gonna die. Okay, topic, the topic today is ballroom dancing.
Ballroom dancing. Wow, we're on a real
Practices or just dancing.
we're on a real run of like the arts right now. We've done public art, we've done pop music, and now we're doing the dance art of dance.
Okay, like so ballroom dancing's pretty specific. So I feel like if we had a topic that said the foxtrot, I'd be like, maybe we should just think about dancing, dancing.
Okay.
Well, I
You
don't
think
know,
ballroom
'cause
dancing?
ballroom dancing is the one that has the competitions and all that sort of stuff.
There's
right?
a lot. There's salsa competition. There's competitions for lots of kind of dancing. There's not mosh pit competitions, as far as I know.
Yeah, so you're saying open up this topic from ballroom dancing to all dancing. I feel
Yeah,
that
yeah, just
just
would be
by saying it out loud, I feel my verdict changing.
really.
Yeah, but you know, I'm okay with it. There'll probably be more to
How
talk
about
about.
what about partner dancing? Are we keeping out like professional dancing? It's sort of different.
Uh,
Wait, ballroom dancing is a very specific thing, though.
I know Mike is suggesting that instead of discussing ballroom dancing, we open it up to all dancing.
Because I feel
Let's-
like ballroom dancing is pretty specific. So if you were to say something like the merengue, you'd be like, like you could have a
All
hundred
right,
topics that
I'm
are
I'm
like
I'm for it.
ballroom dancing.
I'm for it because here's the thing. I know very little about dancing to begin with. That I don't think I can have an interesting to us or the listeners conversation about something as specific as ballroom dancing.
Well,
All I
and I
know is
would
they wear great clothes and the dances are they look a specific way that I couldn't describe. Somehow they're ballroomy and I'm done.
I just want to interject here because Bo has done himself a disservice saying he doesn't know anything about dancing. But I have seen some of Bo's smoking dance moves on the dance floor,
No.
particularly the one where it's like he's driving a car and he's got one hand on the steering wheel and then he like backs it up, even though he
It's
doesn't have a
true.
proper driver's license. It's a pretty, he does it well.
I'll-
It's true. He
You're
has a good
selling
sense
yourself
of rhythm.
I do like
Okay,
to
so
spin
it's
the wheel.
agreed. We talk about dancing as a whole.
dancing,
Like dancing is the topic. When this show goes live, it'll be like boom, dancing.
dancing.
People will feel the rhythm when they see this topic. Okay, so straight up, I will say that dancing is generally pretty fun. I think that most people we enjoy it. Some people require the lubrication of some alcohol to get on the dance floor. But I will also say that one of the reasons that people require that lubrication is because a lot of people dancing look ridiculous. And I don't just mean people with no rhythm. I'm not sure if you guys have ever watched Dancing with the Stars. I've seen like an occasional episode or whatever, and they're all dressed up, and this goes back to the ballroom dancing. So it's all very, very formulaic. Everything is sort of scripted, and they've worked out their routine. It's essentially like figure skating, except on a floor with no skates, therefore
Hmm.
eliminating that sense of speed or whatever. And I just find like I like a party. I like dancing to the music and all this sort of stuff. But to do all that planning to dance feels kind of like, I don't know, counterintuitive to what the nature of dancing is.
Yeah, I would almost sort of agree. Like I having sort of tried to like Andrea's parents go to like dance classes, these like sort of every week where it's like they learn different and we went with them one time and some guy was like showing us various steps and I was like, man, this is so complicated. It's like you're like you're doing this kind of like four-step thing and it's like and then as a man you're supposed to lead this certain or whatever and I was just like, man, this is so complicated. Whereas if you just play like a sweet groove, then you just kind of find the rhythm and start moving around. So there's those two kinds of dancings, like the sort of rhythmic one where you just sort of do whatever, um, and then the one which is like, okay, you move like this, and all those ones they're humorously arbitrary, right? It's like, oh, this is how you do ballroom dancing, and it's like you step. Like I just feel like I could make one up. Be like, I'm gonna make up the Mike Hodgins step. Okay, so you stand there, and now it's like you shimmy your hips. It's three steps right, one step forward, double step back, three steps left, repeat. And I'm like, okay, there's the Mike dance, and it's just like, what is that? It's just you're kind of stepping around a bit, like,
Hmm.
and it comes back to Crofton's sort of humorous observation, which is true, is that most dancing, if you kind of look at it and try to pull yourself away from the music and the art of it, looks kind of ridiculous. Like it's like people just kind of like walking silly around the stage with each other. And I mean, obviously, the people who are really highly trained professionals make it look more than that. But
Well, the
it's like,
idea is that the movement is the art, right? It's the art of movement, isn't it? Like, like I think people have a passion for something, they build on its complexity, and then when you listen to an orchestra perform music, you're like, wow, that sounds great. I like the sound. But to somebody who's a musician, who's invested in learning or writing those kinds of things, it's like a different thing that you're like, why would anyone want to sit and stare at a bunch of lines and write notes and make weird sounds all day till it sounds good? So I'm like, I kind of get that the people who love dancing make these weird, complicated things that seem like, why would you want to do that? You're saying it's the opposite of spontaneity, right?
Well, the planned dancing.
But the idea is you practice these things so that because they're all in your muscle memory, when you go to be spontaneous, you do these insane things that people think you choreographed, but really is just spontaneous because you practiced it.
Well, I think that there's like lots of reasons to want to dance, and there's lots of different types of dancing. So like there's what I call the party dancing, which is just like you're with a group of friends or whatever, maybe at a wedding. That you often see a lot of party dancing at a wedding where people are sort of like dancing to the rhythm. Then there's the club dancing, which is like, you're going to the club to meet the ladies, and then everybody's getting up in everybody's grill, and you know what I'm saying. That there's
You don't.
less common at the weddings, and then everything else I throw into kind of like structured dancing, and like some of the when talking about the ridiculousness, I immediately thought about stuff like line dancing in particular, like when you do things in a group, because the idea is like, when you see like boy bands or whatever, and they do their sort of their dancing, and everybody's like, oh man, they're sick dancers or whatever. But really, all that is impressive about it is just 5 people doing the exact same thing at the same time. If you took one of those 5 people and put them sort of like dancing to the music, maybe what they're doing is kind of good, but it's really the fact that they're just totally in sync that makes it impressive, if you will. And it's the same with, like, you see, like when I was a kid, this is dating myself, but there's like, what was it, the Billy Ray Cyrus, Don't Tell My Heart, My Achy Breaky Heart. And everybody, there's a moment, because dances become fads. There's tons of like the Macarena, there's all these, and they're essentially, a bunch of people lining up to do a certain type of dance together. And I like that it drives them together socially, for sure, but it is pretty ridiculous a lot of the time.
Well, also, you triggered something in my head, and I think it touches a little bit on what Bo was making the analogy towards music, and that might be kind of like, but there is an intrinsic link between dancing and music, and
yeah,
and I feel like you would listen to music. You could sit and listen to music, all kinds of music, whatever. But if you remove music from dancing, I think the weirdness of it and the kind of absurd ridiculousness of it would be a lot more apparent. First of all, it'd probably be harder for someone to dance, because I think the kind of tones and rhythms help dictate the movement. But it's almost like dancing is like a sub. It's related to music. Music can exist independently, dancing is hard for dancing to exist without at least a drum beat. Like, I mean, a drum beat will get you going.
I agree that they're inextricably linked. That most of the time dancing is accompanied by some kind of music. I will say, if you've ever seen the contemporary section of dancing, So You Think You Can Dance, or I don't know, maybe maybe it's ballerina. Like, there's a type of dancing that is extremely arrhythmic, that uses music that is like arrhythmic, that still qualifies as dancing. Although the point is there that music is still a part of it. But, and the thing I want to say to kind of blow your mind here is that math. Oops, I already damn it, I said it in the wrong order. Music.
Yes, mine not blown. Sorry, Bo.
Music and dance have a foundation in math, because it's all like, if you think about fractions, like music is measured in basically fractions, and the rhythm with which you do things can also, in dance, can be plotted mathematically out because of the rhythm or the lack of rhythm, where you sort of map out. At least that's how we sort of view music and dance. And so there's a real, like, there's this mathematical underpinning that's kind of got nothing to do with the heart and soul of it, but it's sort of what links it all together, is this sense of timing. And I think with some kinds of dance that it's arrhythmic and it's just a celebration of body movement. And I just think of those weird contemporary ones where they run and dive across the stage and slide on their knees, but they don't appear to be doing anything in any kind of synchronicity. And that itself is kind of its own interesting art. Granted, it's not pop dance. Like we talked about pop music. I don't think that kind of dance is as widely popular as say something like crunk. Where well, crunk is kind of asynchronous and crazy too, but it looks like it is. So I don't know, but
Well,
yeah.
see, again, if you were playing the GBB drinking game, every time I shit on bass, you would probably take a shot. But bass is one of the things that I kind of like a strong bass line, strong drums. Mike said not all music is danceable music.
No.
Like you'll listen to a lot of music that you have no urge to dance to. In fact, some might do the exact opposite of making you want to dance. It might be relaxing music or what have you. However, there's some music that is like you listen to it and you're like you're bobbing your head right off. There's music that sort of incites you to dance. So yeah, the two are completely linked, but at the same time, you can listen to music and not necessarily have it be dance music, right? So the dance music, when I listen to it though, and this is why people who listen to like heavy bass music and heavy drums music and are not dancing drive me nuts, because like if my neighbor's just listening to it and I'm like, why are you listening to this? I can hear it through the walls and all this sort of stuff. Oh, it's good music, man. I'm like, well then it's good for dancing, but you're not dancing. You're just listening to it. I'm like, it's for dancing. It's like it's music that serves a purpose, and that purpose is to dance. Like if you're at a show or something, okay, that's fine. I'm on an
Yeah, I
aside,
find that
but
strange too when people go by in the car and they're just sitting in the car and it's like super club beat. But I think if you're into that stuff, I guess you just want to know the songs. And it's funny that we just did pop music, wasn't it? The last episode we did.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
this is like their partner episodes.
Yeah, sort of in some
It's
ways.
super because dancing's really popular. There are huge TV shows and people who religious viewers of dance programs like. And this is where I want to go back to something you mentioned, where it's like, people, I enjoy dancing. Why would anyone want to watch it? Basically, I think is what you said. Maybe I'm paraphrasing a little too much, but
Well, I don't.
sounds
I
like
mean,
something Mike would
it
say.
definitely sounds like something I would say.
I would say like most things, it's probably more fun to do than to observe. But yeah, there's a
Fair,
place for it, I guess.
fair enough. But like for me, like I see people play guitar and I'm like, oh, I wish I could play that way. Or I see a cool movie and I'm like, man, I'd love to make movies like that. Or see someone draw something and feel like I'd want to do something cool and think it was cool. Dancing is kind of like, I get why people enjoy it, but I don't know why anyone would want to do it. Like as like a to feel that passionate about something so ephemeral. Is that the right word? Like there's a lot of art, and I guess this harkens back to acting, which is kind of the same, shares that similarity, that it's something you create that evaporates into nothingness when you're not doing it, basically. And yes, you can make a video of it and keep it for posterity, but I'd argue that's video art in some way, and not the dance itself is probably 1,000 times more magical when someone is performing it live organically in front of you than watching it on a TV screen. Although I'm sure you can enjoy it on a TV screen, but
Well, okay, so touching onto the art stuff, and this is a good point, because I didn't necessarily think about how loaded this topic is, but it is when you look at all the ways that dance exists in society. So my wife, when her birthday is near Christmas, and I was thinking like, man, what would be a um, a different gift than a usual gift, because I got to get her two gifts in the space of a month. So I decided I'd get her tickets to the Nutcracker. So we went to the National Art Center. We went to see this Nutcracker. I'd heard a lot about the Nutcracker. I'm pretty sure I saw a cartoon of it on TV when I was a kid. What I did not know was the Nutcracker is not a play, it is a ballet. So essentially, all story beats and everything are communicated through the art of the dance on stage in front of you. So, like, for, I don't know, 2 hours and a half or something like that, and there's an intermission and stuff, there's a story unfolding with music and dance or whatever, and then afterwards, and since then I'm on like some sort of mailing list where they're trying to sell me like season ballet passes.
Oh, the NAC? They'll never leave you alone.
Yeah, no. It's so essentially though that there's a ton of ballets. There's national ballet companies, like just Russia is crazy on ballet, and ballet is just one type of dance, but it is like anything from like tap Tap and Fred Astaire and those, the movies. There was a whole series of dance based films. There still are, but not to the extent that there used to be. Like it is used as a storytelling mechanism, and is in that way kind of interesting and challenging as an art form. Maybe not one that appeals to me personally, but like I can appreciate what it's doing.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
what. So my wife's quite into dance, actually, into watching dance. So she um, goes to the National Arts Center. That was the acronym I use, the NAC, fairly often. I actually got her some tickets also at Christmas. But she's kind of more into sort of I guess you'd call it like contemporary dance, like art dance, where I don't even know if there's a clear story. Um, and actually, I had a roommate who went on to be into contemporary dance. I think he still does it in Montreal, and I've seen some of the things he posts things, and I'm like, what is this? I don't know. Some contemporary dance is strange, but then coming back to the fact that it's art like any other art form, is that it spans the gamut, right? So it's like you have some dance, like some weird contemporary painting, where you're just like, what am I looking at? I don't know. Challenge yourself. Think about who knows what. And some which is very accessible that anyone can do. I mean, it's like same with the written work. You read some poetry. You're just like, this is not accessible to me. I do not like this. I don't know what it is. Some people love that kind of stuff. Some people just want to read comics or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's art, right? So it spans that gamut. There's the accessible end, and then there's the very deep end for the people who know it inside and out. And I guess it's like any other art form in that sense too.
Yeah. It. I dancing to me is just it's one of those things that like when I've done it because we've talked about that I've done dancing, it makes you feel kind of powerful. So when you draw, like I've drawn, I'm not a great artist, but I've spent time just like drawing or whatever, and it's like I don't know, I felt I liked what I did, or I felt maybe calm by the activity, or frustrated with myself because I'm not that good. But there have been times where I've danced, as Mike alluded to at the top of the show. I used to go out. We used to go out on Fridays and Saturday nights, and I used to go try to be Mr. Cool Dude dancing all the time. And maybe it was to try and attract the opposite sex, except I think I get so caught up in dancing that I forget that I was there to try and do other things. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't know what I was trying to accomplish, but I know that I felt a sense of power when I was doing it. Like, I think you do certain things like right, and you feel certain ways. I think one of the things, first of all, it's exercise. So you feel, so your bloodstream's pumping, your brain's in a heightened state because of the exercise. And you're putting yourself out there. A lot of people are embarrassed by dancing. That's the big thing. Like if I draw a picture and I don't know, not that many people feel embarrassed about it. They just say, "Oh, look at this piece of crap I drew," you know. But dancing, some people are just morbidly would never do it, and so much so that they would be like, "Oh, I don't dance, and dancing's dumb and whatever." Like because it embarrasses them so much. The idea of others do, and so that's an aspect to dance that is unique, I think, from art. Maybe acting can be kind of the
No,
same.
no, all art is like that. Like doing art in front of other people, any type of art. Like somebody could ask you to draw them a picture if you're embarrassed of your drawing style, or write a short story or write a poem and then read it. It'd be very embarrassing because you're putting a part of yourself out there. And with dance, it's a
Okay.
very visible part of yourself,
Yeah, like
right?
your fat's all jiggling. Like if I went out
Yeah.
and danced there now, like I'd do it, but I wouldn't feel that great about some of the softer parts, my softer body parts nowadays.
But I will say that the dancing is essentially something that I find really difficult to label as bad, because I mean it's not there's no real negative influence. And while we've talked a lot about the inherent ridiculousness of it, I can make a long list of positives. And Bo started when he was talking about exercise, but even just like the socialness of it, the interacting with other people, the learning of learning new skills, because each dance requires, and Bo mentioned the math element to it, the 1 2 3 and all that sort of stuff. Like learning these things is tough. It requires parts of your brain to be firing on kind of all cylinders. So there's a lot of positives associated with dance. And people like I don't drink, so people often think that, oh, you wouldn't like dancing or whatever. And the reason they say that is because they wouldn't dance unless they were drunk or slightly inebriated. And the reason they wouldn't is because they don't want to be embarrassed, like Bo said.
Yeah.
And but I think that people who say that they hate dancing or they hate to dance are saying it not necessarily based on the act of the dance, and they're saying it much more based on how it makes them feel about themselves, like the self-conscious element in this. I don't think that I don't think anybody is like, oh, I hate dancing based on feeling the sweet music and dancing. I bet a lot of people dance alone or whatever, or dance, like in their
I dance
house
alone in
to
my
music.
kitchen all the
Yeah.
time.
Oh, I think a tons of people do. I think even some of those people who are like, oh, I hate to dance, it's just that they're embarrassed. And like, I remember going out one time with Bo. No offense, Bo. Bo has a good sense of rhythm, and we were at like Zaphod's or something, and I was dancing. I have a bad sense of rhythm. I am as white as they come. Like, no offense, but like I suck at dancing. I know it, but like whatever. I'm not drunk or anything. I'm just trying to dance and whatever. But Bo was like making a huge effort to like try and teach me because I was so oblivious to the rhythm. He's like, no, 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 you need to do it like this, or you need to move like this, or whatever, and all. And
Well, you should listen to the rhythm.
and I was like, well, maybe I'm slightly off here, whatever. But like I can see, because at the same point, I can see why people would hate to dance, because there's people that are clearly better dancers who are judging you, because they're like, this person's not in with the rhythm. Because if you have rhythm, it is very easy to notice people who do not have rhythm. I don't have rhythm, so it's harder for me to notice people who don't have rhythm. Sometimes the really bad people I notice, but a lot of times I can't fucking tell. So for that reason, like I understand the embarrassment factor of it. I just don't understand, I guess, what is a negative about dancing? Like what is bad about it?
I mean, that definitely. I think it is hard to say. It is one of these topics that's difficult to give a bad to. I would agree. And I mean, you were kind of dancing around it about the people who don't say they don't like dancing. I mean, the reality is those people are hiding insecurities. And having been someone who likes to dance of recent and who has felt like I didn't like to dance at some point in my life, that is definitely linked to my self-esteem and the insecurity I felt. And that's fair enough. A lot of people experience insecurity, and you do. It is performance, even if no one's watching you specifically on a stage. When you're doing it, you're performing kind of to everyone. And then it also made Bo was talking about his when he liked to go out there and peacock for the ladies.
Oh, the peacocking.
Well, and he's a term peacocking specifically.
I'm a total
I feel like,
peacocker. It's true.
I feel like a lot of the kind of like looking for a mate in our society is kind of like, I don't know, it's not that overt in some ways, or not that overt, or we've civilized it in this way that animals say don't. But dancing is the one that I feel is like animalistic. It's kind of like you go out in front of people the opposite sex, you're all out there and you're just like shaking your body. Like I can just imagine some bird standing in front of another bird doing his little bird dance to be like, mate with me, please. And that's kind of what dancing is. And it's sort of funny because it's like people, you don't necessarily we don't necessarily make that clear when you go dancing to the club, but it's kind of like it's displays of your body for other people to see. Here I am. You like what you see. Whether or not you're expecting anything to come from it is sort of irrelevant, but it does have that, I think, inherent, and that's probably why it's so base and why everyone likes to do it to some extent, or why it's so ubiquitous among human cultures. I think it's like so many animals do these kind of bodily movements to show their virility or their health or their how good a mating partner they would be. We still do that, and I think it makes it sometimes uncomfortable to think about that animalistic part of us. But I feel like dancing makes it pretty obvious.
Yeah, or even just not shy. Like there's a certain, and this is an aspect of dancing, is that there's a certain amount of power in it. As funny as it sounds, because we talk about the peacocking, but like that's one thing. That's going out there and trying to show off maybe to the detriment of the dancing. Like if your emphasis is to peacock and not to love dance, then that's sort of a different approach. But if you actually love to dance, I think we look at people who do it really well with admiration. Just that there's a sense of bravery there. There's a sense of value there. At least that's what I think when some people
Right. But again,
do
I would
that.
come back to that's like, who like people with more self-esteem do better on like the say the dating front. Like I just feel like I think it's so ingrained that people who are like I'm not dancing for anyone. I'm just dancing because I like to dance. Uh, I think are probably not maybe not that anyone has to look at that deep reflection of like what do I like about dancing, and it's probably totally subconscious that you the reason you like to dance, you're subconsciously just displaying to other people that you're young and healthy. You're not doing that
Well,
actively, but
no,
we're
I
still
know.
doing it. Like as I'm sure you'd ask a bird who's doing his silly dance, like, "Oh, why are you doing that?" And he's like, "I'm doing it to get laid." Period.
I guess what I wanted to
Just do
emphasize,
it.
though, what I wanted to emphasize, because you can look at someone and find them physically attractive, but regardless of the gender you find attractive, whether it's men for women, women for men, we're a bunch of guys, so we're probably going to talk about women. But or if it's guys for guys or girls for girls, there's something intoxicating about someone who's confidently really good at dancing in a way that you don't get from people who don't dance, or just from seeing them and they look sexy to you, like, or someone who you might not normally find attractive according to whatever standards you're indoctrinated yourself with or whatever. Like at a certain point, someone appears more attractive, not because you're drunk or any of those traditional things, but because they're perceived to have power. And that's an interesting notion, when someone can look attractive to you because they're powerful. And I think dancing does that. At least for me, they're like, when I see a woman dance and they dance really well and they're smiling, or they're in whatever character perhaps that the dance is meant to convey, that can be very attractive in a way that, where if I probably bumped onto them into the street and whatever, I might not even think of it. I might not even think of it
Well,
because of the
I
dance.
think
Yeah. Go ahead, girl.
I think that's partly due to what Mike was saying. Is that they're demonstrating confidence, positivity, all these sort of things, like, especially if they're smiling and that. I can understand where you're coming from. I don't necessarily like I. Maybe I'd see some of it and be like, that person seems like a positive person. It's allowing you to
Yeah. Okay.
project on a larger stage your inner emotions, whereas everybody walking down the street, then I mean, like, you're looking at books and judging them
Well,
by
I
their
mean, let's
cover.
say I bumped in and said, "Hello, stranger. Who are you?" Like,
No,
I
but
don't
like
think.
everybody, what I'm saying is that people, uh, we talked about stereotyping on the show, and we talked about the different types of stereotyping, and some is just book by its cover stereotyping, and then some of it is based on actions people take, or choices that they make. And I think that dancing is, like a series of choice in a way of that you're displaying your personality. You are, like, I don't know, peacocking is the right term, but you are like putting yourself. So am I a confident person? Am I looking intense? Am I smiling? Am I whatever? Like, and even somebody who isn't necessarily a happy person, they may look happier when they're dancing and therefore become more attractive. But to you, I'm not sure I follow the power thing, but I definitely follow the seeing people as more positive and lively and animated and interesting when they're dancing, as opposed to just walking
I
around
guess
normal.
the
Right?
power thing comes
They're
from the
often
fact
drunk
that
too.
it captures. There's power in people who capture your attention. I suppose that's where the power is. I don't know if that
Well,
makes sense.
there's power in confidence and self-esteem.
Yeah.
Like there
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I think that's more what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
I'd say like, going back to the sex you up part of dancing, is that like, even those competitions and stuff where everything is like super choreographed, it's like the Roomba or whatever. It's like on Dancing with the Stars, the judges will be like, "That's so hot. I could feel the heat. Oh, I could feel the heat between you. It was just magnetic. I couldn't look away."
I know who you're
And
making fun of, that French
No,
guy
but
there.
he's not wrong.
It was amazing. I'm oh voyons, c'est
Well,
yeah,
magnifique. I loved it so
let him finish.
much.
but it's essentially scripting. Like, these are two people who perform that are not necessarily in any sort of romantic relationship. Possibly they're both married to other people or whatever, and they just do the scripted display. It's essentially like, to me, it's the equivalent of acting, It's like we're putting on a performance of two people who are passionately in love and so fiery and like and all that sort of
But
thing.
think about how much dance is is like that. Like, I mean, it has this sex kind of like tied up in it with that kind of partner dancing. A lot of it is very meant to look very hot and like, oh my god, especially certain some of the Latin dances. You're like, oh my god,
Ooh la
ooh,
la.
getting hot in here. Uh, and
Caliente. Muy caliente.
I just feel like if anything that goes back to the point that like there is stuff tied up. There's something inherent about sex and dancing as well. It's really like a basic thing, which like
It is a base thing. It is one of those things where it's like, you scorch the earth again. You take this is the GBB drinking game. Every time Crofton talks about scorching the earth and rebuilding humanity, you take a shot. If you scorch the earth and rebuild humanity, people would be dancing. Well, I can guarantee you, you start afresh, or I go and I encounter a culture that's been isolated and lived in the rainforest and never interacted with any other culture. I guarantee you that they dance.
well,
Like
another good indication of that. I now have like a kid pushing 2, and I tell you, he likes to dance. It was not hard to get him to dance. And it's obviously hilarious toddler dancing, which looks ridiculous and makes you smile. But little kids like dancing, and they're also pre insecurity phase.
yeah.
Like kids at this age, like they do not have insecurity. They do whatever, and if you tell them to dance, they usually have you can tell the joy on their face, just like running around,
Yeah,
whatever. Like
and Gwen
so
is the same. She has a really fun time. But the thing is, I will say, I was the one that taught her to dance. Like I put on music and said, "This, hey, let's dance" or whatever, and was dancing around. And then she started doing it. It wasn't
yeah, but
something she just did.
it picks up super quick.
Yeah, true.
Think about how quickly that gets picked up versus something like obviously there's a lot of brain pathways, but like language takes years to learn. But like just the basic concept of like, hey, here's some music, move your body. It's pretty natural, right? And little kids enjoy it, And whereas, yeah,
Yeah.
I it is pretty basic. I don't have a ton more to say on this. If you
All
guys
right,
have,
let's roll in. Let's do the topics,
right.
the verdicts. I'm good to go, my friends.
All right, let's open up the floodgates and let all the verdict animals in. The jurors, if you will.
imagining them walking my dance style.
You could probably dance to this song.
Order, I said. Order in the court.
All right, order in the court of opinion. Who would
Okay,
like to take first crack at
I'm gonna go
dancing?
first. I feel like this one, Crofton pointed out earlier, it's almost a bit too obvious. I'm just gonna say dancing is good. I don't even love dancing that much. I like it. I enjoy it. I see it has values in art form. There's some parts, some of that I like, some of that I don't. It's pretty basic thing. People like a rhythm, the sort of math element. I think it's just like the beats of living, and people like to move their bodies. I just think it's pretty. It'd be hard to call it bad. Maybe you could call it bullshit.
That
but I
hasn't
just think
stopped us before.
I just think it. Yeah, I just think it's part of being human. And if you don't like it or feel too insecure for it, well, probably you just feel left out of it, and that's too bad. But even if you're home alone, listen to music. Even insecure people probably let loose now and then. It's just I think it's a pretty natural thing. I think it's good.
Like Macaulay Culkin
yeah,
in Home Alone.
it's fun to dance alone. Okay, that's all I got to say.
I'll go next. So, just for the record, if we were talking about ballroom dancing, which we drew, I would probably say bullshit. But for dancing as a whole, I will say good. And here's the thing is that dancing does look ridiculous. There's so much ridiculous associated with dancing, from the costuming to like these TV shows, to just like the way some people look, the way that most people feel the need to get intoxicated, which is totally fine. Incidentally, if you feel embarrassed about dancing, you should have a drink. It will help you. But like all the ridiculousness aside, I don't see anything negative about dancing, and I won't go through the list of positives again, but I will say that I personally enjoy dancing. I don't do it necessarily out and about as much as I would like to, but I think that it is a fun activity. Oh, and one thing about ridiculousness is that there's often fad dances. I mentioned this earlier, but like even those, I mean, people who do, my friend was looking to meet a lady and went to a swing dance class. I mean, you, you learn new things, you grow as a person. Like there's really nothing negative about it. You can make fun of all these dances as much as you want, and God knows I do. But like the positives greatly outweigh any sort of negatives associated with them. Let there be dance.
Okay. What and the river dance? River dance is okay too.
See, I totally make fun of Riverdance and that Michael Flatley Lord of the Dance and stuff when I see it on TV.
You know, the
That's
stuff
kinda
they
cool,
do
though.
is awesome, though.
I
It's cool.
appreciate the
Got his arms
technical.
out there, Crofton. He's doing his thing.
I'm sure he gets a lot of ladies.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well,
gets a lot of dudes too. I think.
I'll tell you what I think the wackest form of dancing is as I roll into my verdict. It's line dancing, which you didn't talk about. Lame. But you know what? It's still dancing. The thing about it is, all the trespasses that you might levy at dancing, to me, is forgiven because, as I said, I think there's nothing more intoxicating than a woman who knows how to dance. I find that incredibly attractive. And because that's a pleasure that I get to have. Like I was born, I get to live in the world, and you know, you work and you feel shitty a lot of the time, and you got lots of stresses and troubles, and then something brings you joy, and you know, a good dance has brought me joy. I also have a dancing movie. I'm not a big dancing movie guy, and dancing movies are a genre, but there is a Japanese film called Shall We Dance, which there was an American version with Richard Gere and Jennifer Lopez that flopped, and I didn't even watch it because it works in the Japanese context because they're so repressed that the idea of taking dance is very difficult for the main character. The Japanese film, amazing. Recommend. It came out in the 90s. I saw it when I was 18 or 19. I loved it. I saw it in the theater 3 times. And I'm more of a, you know, watch Star Wars, watch action movies kind of guy. It is a brilliant film. Still worth watching. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll love to dance. So that recommendation aside, for that feeling, one of the feelings you get having lived on the earth is watching someone who can dance that moves you is a really great thing. I'm giving it good all caps. It's an all caps good for that verdict.
Well, it seems pretty obvious.
Watch Shall We
good.
Dance. Watch it. It's good. You guys haven't seen it, right? Watch it.
So I guess where we stand on this Japanese movie is also good. But as for the topic, dancing, a 3-way good. And I think that probably you, our listeners, maybe you agree, maybe you don't. We would like to hear what you have to say. Maybe we missed something big. Please let us know. You can email us, goodbadbull@gmail.com. You can send us a tweet at goodbadbull. And of course, to listen to this show, you can find us on iTunes, and I think this new, what is it, Bo?
Google Play. We're on Google Play. If you have an Android device, we're saying kind of goodbye to Stitcher. There'll still be shows there. Go to Google Play. Find us there. We're on there.
Yeah, so we're on Google Play. So you can subscribe to the show there. We'd appreciate it. You can also like us on Facebook, and you can find out all this stuff at our website, goodbadbull.com. And we'd also like to send a quick shout out to our Patreon supporters. We appreciate the support. And if you're interested in doing some of the same, you can check out Patreon. I don't know what it is. Patreon.
Patreon.com/goodbadbull.
/goodbadbull, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that was, we sometimes should go through our big topic bin that goes into the random topic generator and be like, if this topic can't have a bad, we brought this up before, but it's something worth considering.
Well, I think ballroom dancing, maybe you can make an argument that it was bad. Maybe it's led to the oppression of French villagers or something during the Louis XIV period. I don't know.
I think with a topic like that, you have to roll it. It's just too specific, Like I think you maybe you could say ballroom dancing is bad, but really it's just a specific niche,
I would invite any of the listeners who think that dancing or hate dancing or whatever to explain why. And it may be embarrassing because it might involve some self-reflection. But if you have some tangible reasons of why dancing sucks that I'm not aware of, I would love to hear.
I just think the unfortunate thing about that is it probably would always boil back down to insecurity. I was
I'm
thinking
I'm too
of,
insecure to dance right now, and I used to
You
dance
what?
a lot.
Yeah, and it's like
I
that's
feel like
so-
a fat ass. I'm like, no, I can't be dancing anymore.
like I
Have
felt
a drink.
I felt, yeah, well, and that's totally true. 'Cause I felt super insecure to dance, and probably when I first would have a drink, I'd be like, oh, yeah, whatever, I'll go on the dance floor, I don't care. I was thinking during the show a lot about that episode of Seinfeld where Elaine Bennis loves to dance and goes out dancing, and everyone's like, oh, God, she's a terrible dancer.
Yeah.
But in some ways,
Oh, that
The
is
kid
so good.
dance.
yeah, it was pretty fun. I mean, but she didn't care, right? Because she had the self-esteem, the confidence to go out and
Yeah,
tear it off the rug.
and I think that yeah.
Well, I think
and-
she had the self-esteem because people maliciously told her she was good and gained confidence that way. Isn't that the plot to that episode?
I thought she was also like, but I love dancing, and everyone's trying to get her to stop.
I think that that's
maybe.
obviously a sitcom exaggerated plot, but like for the most part, there are people like us, the bad dancers, and I mean you can still enjoy moving your body to the
More
rhythm.
power to the bad dancers, I say.
I mean, the trick is what I find is get married, because then they can't really, like, you've got the power. They can't unless they divorce you, I guess.
That's
I
a
mean,
good reason to get married.
Yeah, and she's
So
like,
that
"Oh
you can-
God, it's time for your first dance. You do the slow dance, and then it's like hit the party music, and then your wife is like, "Oh God, what have I done?" It's too late. She sees you at your worst right after she's given her vows.
That is hilarious. I like it.
Rhythm is a dancer.
Well,
All right. Did we? We can cut out in that. That sounds
Yeah.
like a good natural
See you
break.
live
Way to go,
stream.
Crofton.
No problem.
Well done. All right, people watching the VOD, or if you happen to be in the live stream, thanks for tuning in. Another episode.
nobody
And
there.
now we're
Oh,
gonna make yourselves heard. Prove that man wrong. Prove this man wrong.
How would they even know to be there?
Well, no.
yeah, we didn't tweet it out. Ah ha ha.
Yeah, I know.
Well, they
We,
just
we don't really have a
magically
live.
appear?
We have a live stream, but you have to be subscribed to our channel and receive notifications from YouTube in order to know when we go live. We have 4 subscribers, so Mike is not far off from.
Who's he
and I'm
talking
one of
to
them's
right
me.
now?
I'm talking. To, okay. so-
Talking to the people. the
anyways,
audience.
but someone may be watching the VOD. I know somebody does, and if you are, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Bo's mom.